We're talking with Lani Ramos about violence among teens when dating, in dating situations. Lani, welcome to the show. Good to have you.
Appreciate that.
This is fairly prevalent in our community. Why is this such a problem?
Well, one is when you're talking about youth, they're so inexperienced in their dating and trying to understand. There's a lot of questions that go into the dating process. There's a lot of things that youth have not experienced in problem-solving ability and conflict management and negotiation. So when you don't have that experience and you're in an intimate partner, or what they consider an intimate partner relationship at that point, emotions just run extremely high also at that age range. And so self-control, ability to process and slow down, it's just not there. The frontal brain is just not working in that capacity.
Not developed.
Right.
How common is it in our state or in this area? I assume you work mostly in this area.
I work predominantly in this area, in the Middle Tennessee area. National statistics basically state 1 in 4, 24% of our young women will experience domestic violence or dating violence before the age of 18. 1 in 10 men, young men, will experience it before the age of 18. So the breakdown in numbers in some of the studies is what I have also seen, like with the CDC statistics, is Tennessee's running really on the state average, pretty close to it.
What are some of the signs that parents need to look for that would indicate there is an abusive relationship?
Well, abuse kind of starts on multiple levels. You have psychological, so it's some of that isolation, things that you used to do before that you're kind of not doing. You're allowing the partner to sway the person out of doing what they used to enjoy. Of course, the put downs, the shaming, the blaming, making the other partner responsible for his or her feelings. We all recognize the physical signs of abuse, you know, of course, if there was a bruise or something more severe, but just the shoving, the confrontational, that getting into one's body space, which is very typical anyway of our youth, but in that aggressive manner. And then we also have just the, you know, the sexual, and a lot of our youth are just very unskilled in that way. So they really don't, once they might give themselves to somebody, they don't realize how this can be manipulated or they can be coerced because of that situation.
Is this addressed in our public schools?
Oh, not at all.
Not at all?
Not at all. There's several groups that do try to do some after-school programs. The Middle Tennessee area used to have a program called Teen Peace, just due to funding. It's kind of gone away. So I believe that health classes do try to address it. We get called out to high schools, middle schools, community presentations all the time at the Domestic Violence Division.
I see with some of the signs, warning signs of abuse on the list, calling or incessant texting.
Yeah.
And that kind of trying to control the other person. That's one of the signs.
So what ends up happening a lot of times is, as an exchange of trust, right, give me what your passwords are. And so then they're checking up on people. I mean, this is what ends up becoming problematic. Initially, people find it very endearing to have somebody checking in on them and wanting to know where they are, and then it becomes a constant. And when somebody does just say, please stop, they can't. And
too far gone,
right?
Too
and
far
then
down
it just
that path.
goes on and on after that. And that's, you know, I mean, a lot of people don't even recognize that is a crime. It's harassment. But most people just don't even classify it like that at first.
And I would imagine these kids, whether it's the boy or girl, they're not willing to share this with anybody in the family.
Right. Oh, definitely not with the other adults, not with the parents, not with the caregivers. What youth tend to do is they'll confide in other youth. So, you know, they're going to their peers, and that can actually be very problematic as well. If you're in a very social structured group, which we do know that high schools have, if you're dating somebody who is a very predominant person in the high school area, you'll get peer pressure.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
What do you do as part of the Metro Police Department Domestic Violence Division? Are these offenders arrested? I imagine it depends on how far they go with it, if there's assault or something.
Right. So in looking at domestic violence and dating violence situations, of course, when there's an actual assault, prosecution is available. It's the nuances. It's trying to get it to stop before it reaches that point. So some of the things, you know, yes, if you've asked somebody to stop texting you or calling you and they still continue, that could be considered harassment. But most of the psychological, it's not prosecutable.
What are some of the long-lasting effects? What's the impact long-term of teen dating violence?
Yeah, one of the statistics I think that a lot of people are shocked over is that from the age to 11 to 17 years old, over 50% of those girls will experience a domestic violence, dating violence situation, and that only increases as they get older.
Well, they're used to it, right?
Exactly.
It's familiar.
The tolerance ends up becoming the norm. And so at that point, usually what ends up also happening at that point is lethality also increases.
I see also that teen dating violence increases the abuse of alcohol and drugs.
Yes.
Even the development of an eating disorder
Yes.
could happen as a result. Is this
Of
sort of kind of
course.
loss of control?
It will what ends up happening in these types of relationships is, you know, your self-confidence is deteriorated, all self-doubt, relationships, family relationships, they've gone under a lot of stress. And when you can't control in one area, you tend to try to control in a
another
different
area.
Right,
And
exactly.
the eating thing is
Right.
part of it. Okay, in our last 30 seconds, where can victims of dating violence, where can they get some help?
Sure. At the Domestic Violence Division, of course, it's 615-880-3000. And anybody who wants information online, because coming in can be very difficult, of course. Online, loveisrespect.org, JenniferAnn.org, and even as parents or mentors or coaches, I always suggest the CDC website. It's a great wealth of knowledge.
Thank you for all this information.
Absolutely.
Love is respect.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Appreciate that.
Okay, we'll be right back.